Welcome to episode 128. We're Finn and Emma, and today we're opening the show similar to the way we did last week. We want to continue to use our voices and our platform to speak out against hate, violence, racism, and to once again reiterate that Black Lives Matter.
Yes, and while we're not going to open every show like this moving forward, we did want to take a few minutes to talk about a couple of the things that we are going to do differently moving forward. One of those specifically is around the diversity of guests we have on the show. It's no secret that we've asked over and over again for people to come on the show and that we want it to be a diverse show. And we need to understand that just asking for it isn't enough anymore, and that we need to be better about actively reaching out to underserved and underrepresented voices in our community.
Yeah, this show is built on diversity, and this is something that we know we can do better at. So we're going to. Another thing we're going to do is our next virtual speed meet and greet is on June 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And all proceeds from this meet and greet will be donated to the Black Lives Matter Global Network. Our first official meet and greet was back in May, and it was an awesome event. We had about 25 people join, and everyone joins in a big Zoom meeting, and then we give you each a talking point, I guess I'd say, and then you're put into a breakout room with one or two other people, and you have about 5 minutes to discuss, and then you're brought back to the main group. So it's a way to meet a bunch of different people virtually, and it's super fun. We got a lot of great feedback that people really loved the event.
If you're wondering how to join the event, well, you head over to normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
Our new website.
Check out our revamped website. We polished up the turd a little bit. And click on the meet and greet tab at the top, and you will find all of the information on how to sign up. And we hope to see you there.
We'd love to have you join us.
The last thing we wanted to mention is that we have put some resources, some links in the show notes to other ways that you can get involved and show your support. Some of them are ways to donate money and organizations to donate to that have been vetted very well. Others are ways to get involved that aren't necessarily monetary or by going out and protesting. So take a look at those. And again, please, everybody, be safe. Be kind to each other, stay healthy.
Support each other, love each other, and let's keep spreading that word.
And now we will hand it over to the little soundbite from Carson and Mel.
And get the show started.
And you brought back a fucking sex swing. And I was like, holy fucking shit, who is this chick I'm with? I have a kid with her. A sex swing, what kind of dominatrix is
I went
she?
all in.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult the medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy.
Welcome back to part 2 of the intro. Today we have an interview.
Part 2 of 7.
Yeah, get ready here. Today we have an interview with Mel and Carson.
I'm totally joking. We're going to keep it short.
That's true.
So Mel and Carson are pretty close to the beginning of their journey in exploring non-monogamy.
Yes, they are.
Had a couple of bumps along the way.
Yes, they did.
And they are sort of in the midst of figuring out what is going to work for them. And it's a great conversation where we actually kind of get to talk through that as it's happening. So we hope you enjoy it. We enjoyed it. And thank you to them for coming on and sharing.
Before we jump into the interview, a few quick announcements. First up is our next video Q&A for our patrons is going to be on June 17th. We'll have 2 Q&As, one at 9 p.m. Eastern and another one at 9 p.m. Pacific. Also, on June 16th is our next women's group discussion for our $5 and up patrons. So if you want to find out about any of that, go to our website and click on the Patreon links under the community tab.
That is normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on community and everything you need to know is there.
Exactly.
The final thing before we jump into the show, As we mentioned last week, we're super excited about our new partnership with Alt Playground. They are leading the way in inclusivity and diversity for the non-monogamous online dating scene. Not just swingers, not just poly, everybody. Quit nodding. They can't see you nodding.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Well, how about you maybe pipe in here?
They also have a sleek and streamlined website. And as we all know, safety and security are important to all of us.
And privacy.
Yes, and privacy too. Are important to all of us.
That's why you won't let me put your boobs out on the internet.
Oh my God. But they're also very important to Alt Playground. I'm just glossing over what Finn said.
Yeah, clearly. Right over it.
But they do not have any bots on their website. All members are paid members.
Yep. And so we hope to see you over there. We're on there and we're loving it. Maybe you'll find us lurking around. What?
I was just saying, you can find links to their website on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, in the footer and in our favorite resources tab.
And on the homepage.
Yes, that's true too.
And you could also just go to altplayground.net.
Yep.
And it will end up being the same result.
Any of the above.
Now, with that, we will stop talking at you and go talk with Carson and Mel.
Let's go.
Welcome, Carson and Mel, to the show. Thank you for joining us late on a Thursday evening, but not too late to talk. So maybe for the listeners and for us, do you mind giving us all a little bit of insight into who each of you are?
My name is Carson, and I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and we're in their mid-30s. I come from a background in construction, and Mel and I have been together for 10 years. And that story we'll get into later.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm Mel. I am 36. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, born and raised. So I'm a welder, and Carson and I have been together for just a little bit over a decade.
And the two of you have dabbled a little bit in non-monogamy. You're not, as you've said, you're not professionals. And you
definitely don't have to be to be on
you don't
the
have
show.
to be. It's not a rule by any means. But that you've kind of touched, dipped your toes in it and had a couple of experiences. I mean, are you willing to take us back sort of to what led up to that and maybe what those experiences were and how they came about?
Yeah, so we started out pretty monogamous.
Yeah.
Well, very, actually.
Yeah.
I honestly had only had like a few girlfriends before you.
Yeah.
So the first 5 years of us being together was just that.
But I think it was also pretty vanilla because, I mean, on just not me. I don't think I've ever been vanilla, but like not for a long time.
But what do you mean by that? Just out of curiosity.
Well, just like as far as like maybe kinks go or stuff like that, just not like really, kind of vanilla sex. I've always explored like funner things when it comes to like the bedroom, I guess. So when Carson and I met, I don't think he had experienced a lot of the
fun sex,
bedroom fun. Yeah, bedroom fun that I had, or
we had no toys.
Yeah, we didn't have anything when we got together for a long time.
Not even like, yeah. Did you even have a vibrator?
I'm sure I did somewhere.
I think I found one.
Stashed away somewhere.
I did. I found an old one of yours, and I was like, what is this dinosaur fucking huge contraption? But yeah.
And so, after a couple of years, he gave me the credit card, and he's like, hey, go to the store and get some stuff, And I was like, ooh, I'm going by myself, and I have this opportunity to like, maybe like slide my way into like some funner things. So I came back with all this stuff, and
I was like, we were looking for some spicier stuff, and you had a lot of conversations with me.
Yeah.
And you were like, let's go to the store. Like, let's go to the sex store. And I was like, fuck, no, I'm not going to the fucking sex store. I'm like, dude, like, I don't go to those places. Like, this is how vanilla I was.
Yeah.
So finally, like, a couple of years go by, and like, we're having all these conversations, and we've played out every scenario that we could, like, in our boring lives.
Yeah. So then I got the credit card.
Finally, I handed you the debit card, and I said, don't spend over $400.
Yeah, I think it was 500 actually.
Yeah, it was hundreds. And go to the sex store and have your way, bring back whatever you want, and there's no rules. Just come back with whatever.
Yeah. And I came back with stuff.
Yeah. I was thinking for sure she was going to bring back, like, what did I know about then? A vibrator, every chick has one of those, and there's dildos, right? Yeah. And what did you bring back?
I think we would get in trouble if we didn't ask what you brought back.
Oh, well,
that's what we were getting into.
A lot of toys and a lot of like kink stuff. I brought back a sex swing, and he was like, "What is happening?" And I was "Okay, so it's on now." And I think that was kind of our like first gateway into like this tippy toe step into like just exploring what else there is in the world besides vanilla, monogamous.
Yeah,
sex, basically.
That's definitely the biggest step.
So.
And you brought back a fucking sex swing. And I was like, holy fucking shit, who is this chick I'm with? I have a kid with her. A sex swing, what kind of dominatrix is she?
I went all in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for us at the time, that was like all in.
It was all black and metal and had like bars and straps and shit. But anyway, it turned out to be the best thing.
Yeah, and I think that just like us not continuing to have like a really vanilla, even sex life at that point was just like the toe in to be able to have like conversations about other things.
That was the first step for sure. Yeah. And I was like willing to try it.
It's always been me guiding, a majority of the time.
Yeah, to a certain point.
I guess leading up to this point, Mel, it sounds like you were much more explorative and on your side, Carson, were you sort of just like, I mean, that's a kind of a clashing of worlds, right? Like one of you's like, I really want to explore, and the other one's like, not really, until it was go to the porn store and bring back some sex stuff.
I wanted to make her happy. I just didn't know how. Like I didn't even know what a fucking sex swing was, or like a flogger or handcuffs, and all that stuff was completely taboo to me. And like my few girlfriends before I had, it was just boring. It was what do you call it? Missionary, just girlfriend sex. I don't know. We were young.
I mean, that's fine.
We got together when we were 25.
That's fine if that's what both of the people are content with. But I've always been a lot more exploratory. I've been more open, I think, sexually than Carson.
Yeah.
Was it something that you were finding yourself bored, Mel? Like, were you becoming unhappy with it, or was it sort of like, I'm okay with this?
Well, the first several years we were together, there was definitely nothing boring about that, because we were definitely in our NRE, like honeymoon stage, rose-colored glasses, and so that was great. But then I think after like 4 or 5 years, when you're with anybody, you just start to like mix stuff up, except for instead of mixing stuff up, I went from like 0 to 100 a little bit faster, I think, than normal people do. I was like, all right, we've been here, 4 or 5 years. Let's get it going. So
yeah.
But I wouldn't say that I was bored, just ready to move on, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you said after that trip to the sex store, you came back and that kind of changed everything. Can you talk about that transition a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Well, we tried out the sex swing. And there was also like riding crops and handcuffs. And
I think the transition, though, of what she's asking is like, how did it change our relationship dynamic to be able to,
okay.
Is that what you're saying? To be able to open it up to like, it's like a giant hurdle that the way I see it is like, and the way I see it in our relationship was it was like a giant hurdle or like a cliff we just bombed off of into a big cold lake. And then after that, you got to figure out how to swim back to shore. And then once you're there, then it opens up, conversation to be able, once you've gotten past that scary point, it opens up conversation to be able to talk about other stuff.
It was a big door that I stepped through.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even know about all this stuff. So then what else is there?
Yeah.
And then so I started going to the store, and we'd go together, and oh my God, we spent so much money at the sex stores from now.
It's a lot of open communication, and like, I think it was just a good, like, it was definitely like a jump off a cliff moment, but also it kind of opened it up to be able to talk about other things, I think is what she was asking.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that initial thing, sorry, I kind of jumped ahead, but and then from that point, like, I still tiptoed through that store. I was so paranoid to go in the first time. I've grown so much, and now we own pretty much everything in the store. We go in there now and it's boring. It's like, People come up to you, they're like, we got that.
Well, I was curious though, when she came home with a shopping cart full of sex toys, like, did it freak you out at all, Carson? Like being like, what are we going to do with all these things? And like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
I was afraid of the sex swing. Yeah, I never even heard of one before. And it was something you don't even see in movies. Unless you look for it specifically, like on Pornhub or whatever, you're never going to see or even hear of one. But at least not me, not the people I hang out with. And,
we hang out with different people.
I was going to say just the one you're married to, but
yeah.
So yeah, it was super scary. And the minute we used it, it was fine. I was like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And so that opened up further conversations, right?
This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We should cruise along. Because
yeah, for sure.
Like maybe a couple years after that, like, cool, we're doing great in the bedroom. And then who comes along?
Well, so my girlfriend that I've known, are you talking about Jack? Yeah. So my girlfriend I've known forever. She's this amazing, independent, sexually free, just badass woman of her goddess self.
Yeah.
And
I've never met her before.
Yeah, so I've known her since I was maybe 16 or 17, and we're the kind of friends that kind of like drift apart and then come back together, and drift apart, come back together. And so during that time, we had just started reconnecting again and started hanging out a lot, and she happens to be polyamorous.
Very.
She was in a monogamous relationship at the time. So her and her partner would frequently come over and hang out with Carson and I and have bonfires and, do dinner or whatever, do friend stuff. And then polyamory kind of started getting brought up into conversation, and then stuff started getting more looked into. And then, that's how that kind of yeah.
So what struck me crazy about Jack, when I first met her, this chick comes over and she's telling me all this crazy stuff. Well, telling you crazy stuff and allowing me to listen, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, I get to hear a girl talk. And I'm like, wow, is this like how chicks talk all the time? No, it's just Jack. Okay. Well, anyway, she has this old boyfriend that she has a planned...
her planned breakup.
Her planned breakup.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, they had been together for a really long time. I think like 8 or 9 years. They loved each other and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Had a dog together, lived together, had all this stuff together.
Yeah, farm.
And they had a planned breakup date.
Yeah, they had a party, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So anyways, we're hanging out with this girl, Jack, who I've known forever, and she's just this different person that lives differently, air quotations, than, other people that we know. And so that's how polyamory got brought up in conversation, and then got brought up for us to start having conversations about it and researching it and reading books and, all that stuff that comes after it.
I think for a while, like, you regretted that. Like, I think you were like, sure, oh my gosh, like, you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
When Jack came over.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Jack and all of her crazy fucking stories that she had. And I'm like, what the hell is polyamory? Like, I'd never even heard that word before.
Yeah.
And that's how like monogamous I was. And I was like literally just sitting there listening to Jack talk to Mel and tell her all these stories. And I mean, there was many nights where I just sat there and listened. After a while, I started having questions. And I'm like, I didn't even know this world existed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why did you regret it, Mel? You said that you regretted having those conversations.
Because I think that once the conversation came up in our relationship between me and Carson, then it started happening very frequently, to the point where we were over communicating about it, to the point where it was kind of annoying to me. And it was like almost the only thing that we would ever talk about, when we had free time together. And it just basically took over everything. And I was like, okay, so this sucks. Like, I want, regular life back. And I think that at that point too, like, I was okay with where we were. I was totally comfortable and fine with where we were in our relationship. And like, I could maybe see how a couple years down the road or something like that, if things went stagnant or that's something that we needed to revisit in our relationship, that I would have been fine with that. But it was just really, it was very crammy. It's like when somebody decides they really like something and they go really over the top with it. That's how Carson was with it. And I was like, okay, you need to chill out a little bit, you know?
I tend to dive into new experiences and ideas like a lot and research them to death.
Yeah.
And after I figured out like what the hell is polyamory, and I didn't even know what swinging was yet, and all the other like umbrella things were like, here I am like ordering books. Like, yeah, I can say the names, right?
Oh yeah, but we don't have to go through a list of like 16 books that you ordered. That's what I'm saying, like
More Than Two and The Ethical Slut. And
that's my book.
We were on Facebook,
like polyamory, private Facebook groups,
right? And this was all like, I mean, it was grinding away in your head, and we weren't talking about it yet, and it paranoid you, you know.
Oh, I disagree. I think we talked about it too much, and I think that there were times where you were reading literature about polyamory, and instead of us having conversations about it, I feel like there were times when you were really kind of maybe preaching at me and using it as like a Bible almost to like preach at me, and it was just too much. And I was like, okay, just need to calm down, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, you should read this book, or you need to read this book, or, you know, things would happen. And I was like, I'll do things on my own time, and I'll do things the way that I want to do them. Not everybody does stuff the same, you know, like,
And so when the polyamory cat came out of the bag, Carson, you really took it and ran with it. Was it something that you wanted to do, or was it just something you were really curious about, like, as a topic?
No, I had no interest in it. It was just a curious topic, to be honest. And that was until, like, I feel like I learned so much about it. I'm like, well, why the hell doesn't anybody do this?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're stupid for being monogamous. It seems so like hard and fucked up to one another.
Yeah.
And that's where.
And look at how great it could be. Like if we had this, like, you know, all these amazing relationships with other people that we're like missing out on, you know.
And that was many years we talked that conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But never did anything with it.
So it did turn into a desire to want to explore it after reading all the literature and seeing like the utopia of it could be.
Yeah. And Jack was still around.
Yeah.
There were other events that kind of...
Well, I mean, not only that, just like what had developed over time during conversation with the two of us and having great conversations about it. But we also we still had her in our life that was coming back and sharing these great polyamorous experiences with us. Like, oh, I'm doing this. It's so awesome. And I'm having so much fun. And this is so amazing. And, you know,
it's good for my health.
Yeah.
And like...
So we had that little... you know, voice still, in the background that was like, you know,
I think you were pumping the brakes pretty hard, though.
Yeah. So there was a lot
you didn't like that.
There was a lot of setbacks and a lot of bad stuff, I think, that came out of it. But
there were some train wrecks that were coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, with my new friend, Jack, and Mel's old friend, Jack, she started staying over. And we wouldn't fool around or anything. And like, after we got to be good enough friends, like, I don't know what the hell, like, I don't know what led up to us, like, having cuddle puddles.
Oh, yeah.
Jack.
The cuddle puddle phase.
Yeah, we ended up, like, she stayed over quite a few nights. And it ended up, like, we usually sleep naked.
Yeah.
And at first, like, we all have pajamas on and everything. And then eventually, I think we were naked, weren't we?
But I don't think that Jack's ever been, like, opposed to, I mean, we've known each other forever. We could shower together, just the two of us girls, and it wouldn't be like a big deal, you know what I mean? So I don't think
it wasn't a big deal. After
like,
I got to know
sleeping in the bed
her.
naked together with my husband shoved in between us wasn't a big deal to me because I was like, oh, I don't know, whatever. Like,
I think it was a big step for all of us.
Yeah. But I mean,
even for Jack.
But nothing happened. It was just like a cuddle puddle is what I'm saying. Like we were literally just cuddling.
And like over talked it before this happened. Like, oh, you're gonna stay over here, you know? Like, well, that's great. And everybody wore clothes and stuff at first, and it was warm and loving and felt good. And that was cool. And then, like, we all knew none of us slept with clothes on, and so like eventually the clothes came off.
Yeah.
And that's like actually it doesn't really matter, but I'm thinking of the listeners listening, thinking, yeah, this dude had two naked chicks like wrapped around him all night long. Like, what the hell's wrong with him? But it wasn't like that. It was just like one of my really good friends sleeping over, and
We just happened to
my
be
wife.
with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was great. Nothing ever wrong like came of that, or weird, or sexual, or anything like that. I was always really respectful.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah. That's I don't know, it's a sweet story. It sounds like it, it's a comforting thing to have happen with a friend. It sounds like it was a really good situation for all of you.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there were definitely specific nights that when Jack would stay here, she really needed, not every time, but there were a couple times where she came over here because she was having a really bad day, where she was upset and crying, and she needed to be with people and that loved her, and just being able to crawl in bed with people that loved her and everybody could just cuddle up and go to sleep is what she needed. And so, it is a sweet story,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to quickly, I guess, for the listeners, if anyone's a little lost because I feel like we've kind of going in pieces here, recap things, and then I want to continue on. So you've been together about 10 years. You were very monogamous. Then you went to the sex store and that opened up a lot of conversations around you two. And then you met Jack. Well, Carson met Jack. She came back into your life and started the seed of polyamory, and Carson went crazy and started reading everything about it. And you talked about it a lot, which led to maybe over talking a little bit, but not really interested in exploring it until a little while later. Well, maybe this could be a utopia. Maybe we could actually try this. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you started having these cuddle pile parties with Jack. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, and if we could have just said it like that, it would have.
That would have been a lot
We could have
easier.
just talked for the last 2 minutes, like for sure. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. That's exactly right on par.
So where did it evolve from there?
I think that it wasn't too much longer after that, and then we started talking about possibly having a threesome.
Yeah.
So we started having
Not with Jack.
No, we started having some conversations about possibly having a threesome, or if it would be, like a girl and a girl and a guy, or a guy and a guy and a girl, or how the dynamic would work, or like what we thought about it, or what, his opinion was, or what my opinion was. And then I think I don't think it was me. I think Carson decided to kind of pull the trigger on it. So
we have those conversations, and everybody thinks like, well, your first threesome is supposed to be with like 2 chicks and a dude. That's the only way it's supposed to go down.
Not me.
I mean, we had like those conversations, and you like mentioned it. I even remember like reading something about it, like, well, wouldn't it make more sense with another guy, just like physiologically?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like first timers and stuff like that. And like at first I was like, what? You just want to fuck another dude? And like I was like, no. And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, wait a minute, yeah, that makes way more fucking sense. Let's do that. And I was totally down for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how did you make it happen?
Oh man.
Well, so I think
Choke on my beer.
I don't know. I don't even know how to start to fix. Well, so anyways, basically what happened was I think we ended up choosing a person that was like, quote unquote, safe for our relationship. So it was somebody that we had known for a very long time. Both of us had known this person for 20 plus years. And I think we floated the idea, and the opposite party was like, yeah, I'm game. It would be really weird, but like,
as long as it doesn't hurt our friendship, and there was hours of conversation about that. And yeah, he's like, well, whatever, let's just get down to the room then, do this.
And so that's what happened.
Yeah.
So you alluded to that there was a show. So I'm assuming that it didn't go quite, or at least maybe not afterward, quite as planned.
Yeah, I think it was definitely afterward. So Carson and I had this experience with this other individual several times on multiple occasions, and it just turned really messy. So,
and boring.
Yeah, I don't think Carson and I were into it anymore. We were just, and I don't think the other person was into it really anymore either. I think
he was definitely into you.
Well,
he kind of wanted to have you on the side, and you and me have like our relationship, and then him have his piece on the side.
Yeah.
Separately.
I mean, I don't know if you felt that way, then that's, the way you feel. But
that's Yeah, that's what I remember.
But anyways, it wasn't going to happen. So it just kind of, everything got really messy, and it did kind of blow up into like a little bit of a shit show.
we never ever fought about it. So.
No, we never, Carson and I never fought about it.
Oh, I never fought about it with the guy either.
Yeah. And
no, we were always friends.
Yeah. And then we continued to be friends afterwards. Yeah. We just didn't continue to have threesomes with this person anymore.
And that was kind of a hard thing to tell him too. He's like, he'd come over to hang out.
There were several months
yeah, we're not going to do that tonight.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And then like it kind of turned into like, yeah, we're never going to do that ever again. I'm sorry.
So you had to awkwardly phase it out.
It was bad.
Yeah. But I mean, I think if it was any other friendship or somebody that we both, Carson and I, hadn't known for so long, I think that we could have just been like, yeah, we're not going to hang out with you anymore or something. I don't know. It's so awkward. But we continually saw this person because we've known this person forever. And so we had to just be like, you know, like, we're just not going to choose to do that anymore. We're going to keep it private between the two of us. And I think that he understood eventually. I mean, it took him a while. He'd come over and still like grab my butt when he was drinking and be like, hey, you know, I'm like, hey,
yeah, he does that up until recently.
Well, yeah, he still does that. But I mean, we've been friends a long time. I don't know. Yeah. So anyways, but
so you had your first, we'll call it your first threesome experience. It was a series of threesomes with another guy, an old friend. Did that turn you on to wanting to do it more, or how did it evolve from that point?
Well, we definitely backed off as far as like looking into doing it again, like right away. And I think it was just due to the fact that it just didn't work out the first time. It was just so awkward and like not what we expected, I guess, you know, like in hindsight, maybe we should have just met up with some really nice people and got to know them, or, you know, a single guy and then, you know,
strangers, you mean?
Yeah. Or like somebody, you know,
yeah.
And then maybe it would have turned out differently, but that's just not what happened. It's just, you know, we didn't go that route. So I think that we backed off a lot, and there wasn't a whole lot of conversation about future.
Yeah. After that, it was like,
after that for a while.
Everything kind of went back to normal, like kind of like monogamous. And yeah, we did talk about kind of like the stranger thing, and I don't know, I wasn't comfortable with it at all. And I don't think I still am.
Yeah.
And where did we go from there?
Well, so then we had like a stagnant period after that.
I think it was.
Well, not stagnant, but I just mean like stagnant as far as like threesomes, you know what I mean? Like, and then we started looking at.
We left that situation really with not the best like first experience. Yeah, at all.
Well, it kind of left a sour taste in your mouths, the idea of it.
I don't know. I don't think the idea of it did.
Am I going to say it? The guy had no game. I mean, none, dude.
So it was needing to find the right person.
Right.
Yeah. It would have been a lot more fun. Let me tell you, I had a blast. But it was like I was kind of like coaching the fucking dude along and like trying to encourage him. And dude, it was just like, he was like, no, like pumping the brakes all the time. And it was my fault. I should have. I don't know what I could have done differently. Probably like not invited our friend into the bedroom, like most sources tell you not to do. And I'm going to take full responsibility of that.
And I will let you take full responsibility. I love you though.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's the real thing.
Yeah. So then after that,
it did leave a bad taste in our mouth.
I don't think it did for me as far as like threesomes go. I just think that it was like the experience wasn't what we both had like anticipated or was really excited for, like hoped for, you know? And I think that if we tried it again, we could, if we found the right person. It's just that we just didn't have the right person, period. Like,
right.
You know?
Right. And so you kind of stepped back out of it. You said things kind of went back to monogamy for a while. And how has it evolved since then, or how did it evolve from there?
Well, we went to Club Privada for New Year's.
Why did we decide to go there, though?
Just this last year, like 2019 or New Year's 2020.
Yeah, it was a few months ago.
Yeah. So I had mentioned to you about the, you know, sex clubs and stuff in Portland or whatever.
Yeah.
Sex clubs, what they call them.
We had talked about it like for a while, but I mean.
Yeah, so we kept going. We were talking about it, and I was like, well, there's a New Year's Eve party.
New Year's Eve party. We were looking for something to do on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then we talked about that. And then I was like, well, maybe we should go to Portland. Maybe we should, you know, check out one of these clubs or whatever. And then I think Carson and I kept going back and forth. Well, Like he would say, well, maybe we shouldn't go to Portland. Maybe we should, maybe we should do something else. And I'd be like, okay, well, maybe he doesn't want to do that, you know? And then eventually we just, after a lot of back and forth, we just pulled the trigger and bought, well, actually we didn't buy tickets. So what happened was we went to Portland, got a hotel, and then we got all dressed up, and then we ended up leaving the hotel, going out for dinner. And then we noticed that, because we weren't really sure about going to Club Pravada yet, and we knew that if you went in before midnight, the tickets were more expensive. So we were like, well, let's maybe wait until after midnight, and then we'll go in so we can just see what the club's like, because it's going to be a lot of people, because it's, you know, New Year's Eve anyway. It's not going to be a regular crowd, or I don't know. So we ended up going to a bar, getting a drink. And when we left that bar, we walked out onto the street, and there was a bunch of people on the street. And I was like, I'm going to go see what these people are doing, you know? And Carson's like, where are you going? And I'm like, follow me. And I like run across the street, and I'm like, hi, people. And it's like everybody standing out in front of Club Pravada. And they're like, hi. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, this is Club Pravada. I'm like, awesome. Like, yeah, let's go inside, you know? And Carson's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, yeah, well, we'll figure it out when we get inside, I guess. I don't know.
We were dressed to like what I thought were like the nines.
Yeah.
Which I think now, after hearing a little bit more information, we were dressed like, you know, casual business, or at least
not me. I looked great.
I don't know. Sparkly dress.
I looked awesome.
Yeah, she did look awesome.
But yeah, we went inside, and after talking to a couple out on the street for a while, which were awesome. That couple was rad.
Yeah, I wish I knew who they were, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, so we went inside and we walked in, and I think both of us were like, okay, you know. I don't know what your first reaction was, but I was like, this is my people. Like, my people.
My first reaction was like, holy shit, her tits are out.
Yeah. I was like, I'm home.
Like, oh my God. And yeah, there's people. It was like a dance club. And like, to anybody who's never been to one, like, it is just well, at least my experience. This is a dance club, but it's like clothing optional, especially for the chicks.
Yeah, well, then they have a couple other floors that have.
Yeah, and on the other floors, you got to like stretch your legs. Yeah. And we took a big tour of the place, and we saw everything. And it was New Year's, and this place was just packed way beyond capacity. And I think that we didn't do anything. We just witnessed everything, and we danced and we drank. And that was cool. And we left the club with a great experience.
Yeah.
Everything was like perfectly great. And we wanted to go back. And I wasn't sure like quite how to go back. Like, you know, if I just like want to go back on some other normal weekend, well, that would be like kind of me pushing you into something. So
I don't think so.
I was going to say, I don't think it seems like she was pretty willing to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, I still feel like I'm pretty good. I think that this is what happened when we were talking about buying tickets for New Year's. I was like, yeah, let's go. And he's like, you know, I don't want to push you into going. And I'm like, okay, let's not go. And he's like, well, maybe we should go. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And then it went back and forth until finally I was like, we're going to go to Portland or we're not going to go to Portland. Like, you need to make up your mind, because it's not me. It's you. Like,
there was a little back and forth, but yeah.
But I find it very interesting. And this was sort of the theme, like, since the beginning of this journey and maybe you guys are willing to talk about it a little bit, is that, right? So Carson was very, let's just say, conservative, for lack of a better word, right? Mm-hmm. Mel, you were very like wanting to explore things, and then you got the sex swing, and you guys did that for a while, and then the polyamory thing surfaced, and it was almost like Carson took it and ran with it, but you didn't so much want to do that. And then you went to the sex, and it's this weird, like, one of you's like ready to go, and then the other one doesn't. And then the other one's ready to go, and then the first one's like, no. And it's an interesting thing. Like, have you talked about like where you think the sweet spot would be in terms of like how you would want to explore this?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
I think, and I have told Carson before, but I think that I've always been way more comfortable with swinging than polyamory. I think that that's kind of like where my jam would be. And I know that a lot of people who are interested in, well, actually, I don't know that, but I think a lot of people that are interested in polyamory that have, you know, like swung, have also, that's led them into like not just sexual or physical relationships with people, but then emotional relationships. And then you're basically practicing polyamory with your spouse and other people.
Yeah. Yeah, we did miss a whole big step there.
I think that would be a better kicking off point for me, but I think my start point and maybe Carson's start point are 2 different points, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she says it's just sex, you know, and that's right. It is. And that's cool. And I didn't even hear about swinging. I heard about polyamory first. So I guess it got like
Just kidding.
flipped.
Jeepers.
Yeah, and it got all mixed up. And then we had that experience with that dude and like the cuddle puddles with like these other female friends of ours. And it was just, I feel like we're sexually cool enough and like emotionally cool enough with each other to try this cool thing, or to at least be comfortable with each other, like speaking to other people at the very least. But we've had this fucking history that was just like, it was car accident after car accident. Really, it's been like kind of rough.
Like, what are your concerns? Just out of curiosity, maybe for each of you.
Well, I wanted to clarify too, like, so essentially you went to the club over New Year's and then everyone's in a pandemic and in quarantine right now. So you have not done anything since then. Like that was the last step. So you've been trying to figure this out since then, and what it would look like if you and when we're allowed to go places again and that type of stuff. And yes. And like Finn said, I guess, what are some of your concerns?
Yeah. The only plan that we had was newbie night at Club Privada. I mean, I thought that would be like a good, like, let's like kind of reset and just check this cool ass club out.
But what were your concerns is what she's asking.
And perhaps meet some people. Concerns? Well, as I've seen from being on like Cassidy and FetLife, you get way more attention than I do. Like as a male, it's just kind of like guy chases chick. I'm supposed to like go out there and be like the chaser and chase all these new connections or whatever, when you literally can post a few pictures and just sit there and let those DMs roll in. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that you've talked about is exploring it as a team in the swinging side of things. You would be more coming at this together rather than one of you finding things while the other one's not? Or are you thinking of exploring it individually in the swinging world?
I'm not. I don't think that I would be interested in that at all. I think in order for me not at this point, I don't feel that way. If that's something which we've talked a lot about pursuing, and obviously, you know, we have Cassidy memberships and stuff like that, but that would be something that we would do together.
We've talked about it. We were like, wouldn't it be fun to like, you know, just like kind of be in the same room or same bed, or like, would you watch me if I was with someone else? And like, that was a conversation a really long time ago, actually. And but we've never met anybody that has met those criteria yet, which kind of leads into a funny blooper story at the end of this.
Well, I think that my concern, to answer your question, is that I don't know. I mean, I don't really know.
What is your concern?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that I have any. Maybe I'm like freaked out that, I don't know.
She's freaked out about pregnancies, for sure.
Well, I can't have kids, so.
Right. Well, me making someone else pregnant.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't make me.
That has had you white in the face, like scared when we were having some conversations before. Like you were just, you could not even think about it, you know? And I agreed with you. But we've had those conversations. Those are scary conversations. And I think like the emotional aspect of it is like really scary to Mel.
Yeah.
I've gotten way too close to like a female friend of ours. And that turned into a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
And I kind of tend to do that.
So the concern would be then that it might be tough to separate the sexual from the emotional if you start down the swinging path, that it might turn more into something polyamorous on Carson's side rather than being able to keep it sexual.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fear of mine for sure. Because I think for me, it wouldn't be, I mean, I'm saying it now, but I mean, who knows, you know? But I think for me, it's different. I think of sex differently, you know, just in general than he does. So.
Oh, that's what I was trained to do, you know? And of course, I'm paranoid of you, like meeting some other fantastic dude that made you laugh, you know, like a lot. I remember we were at a festival one time and there was this guy that I was hanging out with, just cracked her up. And she had like almost forgot about me. You know?
Oh, I did not.
I'm just making a joke, but yeah, you were like all over that guy. And that was like, I felt the jealousy there.
You had spiders?
I didn't.
We call them spiders.
I hadn't had jealousy like almost like any other time than that guy. I don't know what it was, but it's funny.
So where do you two see this kind of going? Like, how do you want to move forward?
I think that's what they're trying to figure out.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just.
I would love to answer that question, but I'd love to go back to a club again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good
just
start.
meet people. Because we don't even know, like, you're the first people that, like, are more promiscuous than us, other than Jack, who's moved on from our lives. You know, she's doing her own thing right now, so we're pretty much stuck together. And with all of our other vanilla friends, I mean, we don't have anybody to even talk to.
Yeah.
Or, like, have them over for, like, a fucking campfire, you know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, just have a weird, like, what's your favorite position? I could not imagine asking my friends like some cool like question like that, and I really want to. I want to have that back. I want Jack back.
Yeah, we don't have very many like sexy friends or lifestyle friends. You know, we don't really have anybody.
Yeah,
I think just being able to have like conversation like that that's sexually freeing, like you said, but it's like to us, it's really natural. I guess we just don't have anybody to talk to about it.
We want to make friends, and
I think that'd
see
be
where
a great
it goes.
start.
Yeah.
I think that's where it is now.
Yeah. I love that. And I think from my opinion, that's a very great way to start, is make some awesome friends. Like you said, go back to the club, go to newbie night, have fun with it, and make some connections and just check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really great place to go with it.
I mean, who couldn't use more good friends, you know?
Right.
And the club's like a lot of fun too.
And the club's a lot of fun.
There was too many people there for us to even like sit down.
Well, it was New Year's, so I don't think it'll be like that all the time, but
yeah, we want to go back when it's less complicated.
Yeah, smart move. I would say going to your first club experience on New Year's.
Or Halloween.
I would say, or Halloween.
Yeah.
Those are two wild nights.
Yeah.
Probably not a great first night at the sex club, but you had a good time and you'll go back. So awesome. Well,
so you promised a blooper. You mentioned that real quick. So I have to ask, can you share that blooper?
Well, yeah, we have a couple vanilla bloopers.
Vanilla blooper?
Or I'm sorry, monogamous bloopers.
Oh.
That's all good.
I wanted to keep the joke going.
Oh.
Kind of finish off our weird podcast, like, because we don't have like the cool stories that everybody else has.
Yeah.
What were
is
they?
this the camping story?
Oh, wait, there's that one. We're going to save that one for last, but the first one
we can't tell them all. Let's just...
Yeah.
That's fine.
Two's
good.
We have two. All right. We first got together, and Mel had a couple little ones before we got together, and one of them was 4 years old. So, like, early in the morning, and, like, I'm behind her sideways on the bed, you know? And we're, like, just, like, kind of starting to get it on, and it's, like, starting to, like, really get there, you know? And then all of a sudden, like, right in my ear, I hear, "What are you guys doing?" Like, right in my ear. And I, like, completely froze. And he must have been, like, up on the bed with us at that point.
Yeah, I think he was, like, 3 or 4.
He was 4.
Yeah.
it's like a ninja.
Yeah, we were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, what do you want for
baby.
breakfast?
Yeah. Okay, let's go make breakfast. Bye. Like, went outside.
So 6 years later, 7 years later, maybe even 8. So we're kind of trying out this, like, new thing with our vanilla friends of, like, hey, let's go skinny dipping and then, like, warm up by the fire. Like,
we're like, hey, let's all get naked.
Trying to-
naked.
Yeah.
Because we're like, okay, this is boring.
we're
Let's all
trying
get naked.
something, you know?
Yeah.
So we're out camping, get naked, get frozen by the river, come out by the fire, and we're all, like, naked, warmed up by the fire.
Oh, we're just hanging out.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was Mel and,
One of our other friends.
yeah, male friend and me. Oh my God. And then all of a sudden the fucking, the neighbors come over in, like, a team of, like, wolves. They come over.
It was like 7 of our camping neighbors, and they're all guys.
Haven't met them before. They're, like, huge,
And they have this-
shredded dudes.
Well, yeah, they have this bottle of alcohol, of course. And they had been drinking, but they came down and they started walking down there, and obviously we're all naked. And I'm like, hey, and they're like, what's up? And I'm like, you get naked or you leave. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you can't be here if you're not naked. We're all naked. And And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, every single guy is
everybody
ripping off their clothes. So we had, a big camp of 9 naked people just hanging out.
Very first time I met these guys.
It was great. We had great fun. Yeah, it was awesome. That just meeting them and having that experience because, everybody went to bed or whatever and had a great time. But then the next morning we were, making breakfast and stuff, and they came over and they came back. Like they weren't scared enough to come back. So they came back the next morning. They're like, hey guys. And we're like, hey, what's up? We didn't freak you out. Awesome. And we still talk to them to this day. Like, we met them camping and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they took pictures and
it was good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think we can both say that and probably the listeners are excited to hear an update story maybe in like a year.
Yeah.
To see where things are at. Because I think you guys, it's been kind of a wild, windy road, but I think
it's been rough. Rougher than we can explain, like on this podcast. It really has. And
it's been
I would want to share that part, but that it didn't deter us though.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you're poised to jump off and start exploring it.
On your own terms, too.
Yeah, on your own
slowly,
terms.
And you don't have to rush into anything. Like making open-minded friends, and maybe that's all you ever do, and that's okay too. But like knowing that at least you can try to explore, like you want to try to at least do that, is exciting.
Yeah, and the conversations there, so it's great. Yeah, thank you again for coming on.
And thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Being patient with our totally like ADHD like memory of the last 10 years.
It's all good.
I hope that some of your listeners can relate though.
I would venture to guess that more than a few have gone through something similar.
Yeah. I don't know how our story compares to other people's stories that are like more advanced than us, but we can't be alone. It seems like everybody else has like a real smooth like transition and like, oh yeah, we've been doing this for 10 years and
yeah 10 years between the two of us. Maybe another 10 years, then we'll finally get the hang of it,
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't think you have anything to worry about. You're going to do what you do, and
you're just on a different stage of the journey.
Yeah. So we're excited to hear how it plays out, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was wonderful to meet you both.
Yeah. And with that, maybe have a wonderful rest of your Thursday evening. We got like another hour left. So it's exciting.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We're back.
Welcome back. What?
What? Isn't it we're back?
Well, it is. Keep going. Don't lose the momentum. Don't lose the momentum.
You just messed it all up.
You're losing the momentum.
Thank you to Carson and Mel for reaching out to us, coming on the show and sharing your story. We're super excited to hear about how you move forward.
Yeah, we're bringing them back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
also, how scared was he of that sex swing, huh?
Oh, yes.
Anyway, we're happy to hear you got over your sex swing phobia, Carson.
And thank you so much to all of you listeners, for hanging with us for the long intro at the beginning.
Yes. Next week, we've got a Monday
episode with Chloe. Are you just going to copy everything I say?
Nope.
We have a Monday episode with Chloe, and then a Wednesday episode like normally.
Like normally?
Like we normally do.
This is what we call off the rails.
Yes. This is what we call it's late at night and we're both tired.
So thank you again for putting up with our bullshit. And thank you again for heading over to our website and clicking on the links to go check out Alt Playground. They are an amazing sponsor of the show and creating a wonderful online community to meet other open-minded and non-monogamous people. Emma is still nodding. She agrees.
Uh-huh.
And have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Sorry, we will do better next week on Monday.
Thank you so much for listening.
And putting up with us.
Hey, I don't think they had to put up with us.